It's never a good feeling being that one person in a group setting who can't figure out a way to insert their presence into the conversations that are being held. Today we're going to fix all that. Stay locked in. Good conversation is like dancing a well-executed number. Your ability to flow with the mood is going to be of the utmost importance. Be it at a party, a funeral, a graduation, you should always be able to hold conversations that match the energy of the room. If you were to be asked to stand up on the spot and give a small speech, you should have something at the ready. And that doesn't mean written down, but just a few words to dedicate to the person that is being celebrated. Does that make sense? If you can't figure out a way to do this, at least figure out a way to contribute to the conversations that are being had. Actively listen to the conversation that people are having and find a way to interject in a positive way. Add to it, if nothing else. You must have a specific direction that you're steering conversations at all times. When it comes to engaging with the public, understand, when you're talking to somebody, you're taking the most precious commodity they have, and that's their time. No one wants to engage with somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? Same way as in an elevator, when someone interacts with you and tries to hold a conversation, typically you just respond until they get tired of talking to you. Does that make sense? We're talking from the stance of somebody who is engaging with another person. Don't be the person who doesn't know how to steer a conversation. If you're gonna talk, speak. Have something of value to add to that person's day. Control of the conversation until the goodbye portion is important as well. When you speak to somebody, be it the weather, occupation, or anything, when you're talking to somebody, have points at the ready because you don't want to waste anybody's time. And no one wants to be that guy that people hate talking to. Once you start to hone your conversational ability, you're gonna seem silver tongued. And you're gonna seem too good to be true because good conversationalists are rare post 2020. I don't know what the COVID era did to the populace, but it completely skewed everyone's ability to hold good conversation. Everyone will notice your ability to speak eloquently. Not just because there's so many people who can't anymore, but because it is an honest to God example of somebody who put the time in behind the scenes to make sure that when they engage with the public, they have something to contribute. And that is a breath of fresh air to anybody. I don't care what anyone says. Once you become a good conversationalist, you need to make sure that you're using your words carefully. You want to be very concise and quick to the point. No one likes anybody who talks long-winded because at a certain point, you start to lose the effectiveness of the words that you're speaking. Does that make sense? The credibility starts to diminish. Understand the responsibility of speaking well. Self-improvement is going to give you the confidence to speak to people in the public. And it will give you a nice story to tell to people, right? You'll be able to connect with people at a much more human level when you start to be able to talk about and explain how you were able to meditate and get rid of your social anxieties and find out what presence was and be able to be present at the moment and with the person that you're talking to, right? Like I said, it's a breath of fresh air. And once you're able to talk well, it's gonna be about what you choose to talk about. Some of the age-old sayings, like, if you ain't talking money, I don't wanna talk, right? Like, there's gonna be certain settings that you're in where you're gonna have to be versed in the spectrum of the environment that you're in at the moment, right? Does that make sense? If you're in a boardroom, you're not talking about anyone's favorite pet. You know what I mean? You're not talking about people's kids or anything like that. You're talking about business, talking about money, talking about promotions, you're talking about quarterly metrics. Does that make sense? For every one person that thinks you're corny for being able to speak well, there's gonna be 10 people that find it charming. You're gonna have to be comfortable rubbing people the wrong way. When you can, for my example, when I first started realizing that I had a really deep vocabulary, it was like middle school. I was like 12, 13, And you know what I'm saying, back when I used to play video games and shit like that, I would be in parties and stuff like that, and like sometimes I would say stuff that was a bit too bright for the room, you know, for lack of better words. And sometimes like the comments I would make would just go over people's head, the references I would make would go over people's heads and stuff like that. And they used to clown me for it. And to me, it was like I never understood what the joke was. I was like, you know what I mean? Like y'all really just can't. Y'all are laughing because y'all can't understand something. I never let it bother me. You know what I'm saying? You find people who do appreciate somebody who can speak well, and those people are gonna get you further anyways. So don't ever be discouraged when people look at you crazy for, you know, why you talk like that, why you talk so proper, why don't you, should be your response. More people will start to compliment you, and they're gonna ask you to speak to them more. And it's just another example. One of my first ever videos that I posted about 50 something videos ago, I spoke on why I started uploading content on YouTube. And it was when I was in sales, you know, 2020 era, people were down on their luck. A lot of financial strain was on a lot of families type shit, but we were still selling products to these people. And you get to have some very human conversations when you're selling to people. Like, you make some of your best friends out of customers. That is a fact. Don't ever doubt that. And what we would talk about, you know what I'm saying, people's financial situation, how they're getting their kids back and forth to school with everything that's going on. How's it like having kids if they didn't have them in school? They were doing the homeschool thing over Zoom and stuff like that. How was it? And my take on it all, I don't have kids. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't as deep with and in debt and, you know what I'm saying, financial responsibilities some of these other people have, like mortgages and stuff, figuring out how to do all that and maneuver all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of people were getting laid off. And they would just tell me, you really do provide like a breath of fresh air, which is how you look at the situation, how you look at the world, even though everything is quote unquote burning around us. You know what I mean? I was always somebody, I would speak life into people, like motivation. You know what I mean? Like these are hard times, but they're unprecedented at the same time. The last time there was a recession like this, like millionaires were made. A lot of millionaires were made. The millionaires that you see that are making the decisions of how to get us the fuck up out of the situation that we're in right now were made in '08. Were made in the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression era, shit like that. You know what I mean? And people would tell me they appreciate it. Like, you need to speak to more people because this is the message that a lot of people would benefit from. And here I am talking to you. You need to be proud of your ability to command a room when you're speaking. When I was in sales, I was a person at the front of the room with the microphone, getting everybody hyped up. That was another one of my roles in the office that I was employed at the time. And I loved it. There's nothing like connecting with the crowd and getting them hyped up to go make their money for the day. It really wasn't. You know what I mean? Could have been coming off of a shitty day prior, right? Everybody's kind of still feeling it the next morning, like not too motivated to get back out there, get on the phones, work the phones, talk to people, because they just got their asses kicked yesterday. And being the person who would motivate them in the present, right before they would go out and we set like a record for sales done in a day or units sold in an hour, it was a very, very powerful feeling, knowing that you weren't the person who was, you know what I'm saying, making the sales, but you motivated everybody to go get that. Does that make sense? And you need to be comfortable once you get good at holding conversations, being the person that motivates a lot of people around you, because they're gonna need it. You know what I mean? People get on YouTube, you know what I'm saying, and listen to motivational videos all the time, but it hits different when it's somebody talking to them face to face. Does that make sense? This is all just some more cold game, some free game that you're gonna be needing on your self-improvement journey. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, on your self-improvement journey, keep your chin up, your chest out, and always keep it pushing.